Hi everyone. In this section, we'll be discussing about the user access control commands. If you remember, when we started this course, I told you one of the benefits of database management system is that you can control the access of users who can access that database. So within your organization, you may be having different teams, different employees who will look at different parts of the database. You do not want to show all parts of database to everyone. Moreover, you'd like to have that control that only few people can query your database or retrieve data from your database so that your competition or other players cannot retrieve data from your database. So, controlling the access to the database is done using these access control commands. A database can be accessed only by specified users in the database. So, when we started working on the Postgres server, we had a default user called Postgres, and the password for this that was set when we installed Postgres on our system. If you want to create new users, there is a create user command. Create user statement will create a database account that will allow you to log into your database. The syntax for create user command is create user and you mention the username. Specifying a password is optional. So if you want to specify a password, you'll write with password and then you write the password within single quotes. After that, you can also write valid until. It is optional. You can give the expiration date of the username that you are creating. After the expiration date, that particular user cannot access the database. As an example, if you want to create a new user, let us say we are creating a user called StartTech with the password Academy. This is how we created create user StartTech with password Academy. If you want to assign a expiration date, this is we'll write valid until, then we write the expiration date. If you want this user to have infinite validity, you'll just write valid until infinity. Let us go and write these queries. We'll create user start tech with password academy within single quotes. So this query ran successfully and now we have a new user. To check that the new user was created within this database, you can look at the login group roles tab, and within that, if you refresh, you'll see the start tech is now a new user. Now that we have created a new user, we may want to control the access of this user to the database. So we may want that this user can only read data and not change the data in the database, or we may want this user to only be able to read and change the data and not delete the data. So all those different access can be provided using the grant and revoke commands. So if you want to give access to any particular command, you will use grant command. If you want to revoke the access, you will use the revoke command. The syntax for this is grant. You specify all the privileges. On, you specify the object. So this object will be the table name or a view to the username. So this will be the new user that we have created. Similarly, if you want to revoke the privileges, you just write revoke, mention all the privileges on the table name or the any other object from the user. This is a list of all the privileges that you can give. Most of these commands we have learned. Some we will be covering later. So you can give privilege to a user to retrieve data from the database using the select command, to insert new data into the database using insert command, to update the records in the table using update command, or to delete the records from the table, and so on. So all these privileges can be given using the grant statement. So let us grant the new user rights to retrieve data, insert data, update data, and delete data from the products table. If you want to give all the rights, you can just write all, grant all on the products table to the user. If you want to revoke all rights, you just write revoke all on products from the user. Let's go and check these out. So let us grant the access of select, update, and insert to this user. Select, insert, update, insert, and delete on the table name, which is products, to the username, which is startech. This query ran successfully, and now this user has the right to retrieve, update, insert, and delete data in the products table that we have. If you want to revoke the right to delete from the product table, you will just write revoke, delete on product from startech. Startech. This query also ran successfully, and now this user cannot delete any item from the product table. If you want to check that whether actually startech has the right to select, update, and insert in this product table, you can go to this database, SupermartDB, select this table, right click on it, and go to properties. If you go to the security tab, you can see the two users that have the access to this table, and if you open the privileges part, you can see it has insert, select, and update available with it. It does not have the right to delete. Next, we will learn how to delete a user. To delete a user, we will use drop user statement. This will remove the user from the database. The syntax for this is drop user, and then you mention the username. Just remember that if you want to drop a user who owns the database, you will not be able to do so till the database is present there. You will have to delete the database, and then you will need to drop the user. Let us go and drop the new user that we created. Drop user, start tech. So when I did drop user start tech, it gave me an error saying role start tech cannot be dropped because some objects depend on it. What are these objects? There is a table called product to which we have given the access to this user. You'll need to revoke the rights of this user on this table. After that only you will be able to remove this user. So to revoke the rights, we'll just write revoke all on product from start tech. Start tech. So this is successful. Now I will run drop user, which ran successfully, and now this user is dropped. If you on the left hand side, if you look into this tree, refresh, that user is not available anymore. Next, we will look at how to rename a user. So renaming is similar to renaming a table. To rename a user, you will write alter user username, rename to the new username. Will not be doing this. You can try it on your own. Here's an example. Alter user static, rename to st. We have already dropped this user. Probably create a new user and you can rename it to something else. Whenever we create a user, it is stored in a table called pg user. If you want to retrieve the details of all the users in your database, you can select username from this table. So this will give you all the usernames. If you do select star from this table, it will give you all details of the users in your database. So you'll write select username. Note that it is not username, it is username from pg user. You can see it has only one user, which is Postgres as of now. If you create another user, it will show here. If you do select star, you can see other columns of this table also. So you can see this is the information of this user. So that query gave us all the users in the database. If you want to find out the connected users or the users that are actually logged in to your database, you can write this query. Select distinct username from pg stat activity. So this stat activity table is actually having all the users who are logged in. So you select the usernames from pg stat activity. Let us write this. Select distinct username from pg stat activity. So we have received two users. One is the Postgres one through which we are actually working, and the other is some system user for some inbuilt queries to be run. If you do select distinct star, you can see all the activities. You can see all the activities done by different users. You can also see the login date time. You can see other activities, the queries run by every user. So this is actually an activity table which will tell you what all activities have been done by different users. That is all we'll be covering in the user access control commands. With this, you will be able to create new user, grant or revoke access to these new users, delete the users that you have created. Controlling access to the database is one of the most important parts of handling the database.